Today, we are digging into a fascinating teaching from Daniel Lamptey. It takes a really tragic biblical story and completely flips it on its head. We're going to see how one family's awful decision, a decision that led to their total ruin, might have been part of some hidden divine plan this whole time. So right off the bat, this teaching reframes the whole story. This isn't just about some bad luck or a family falling on hard times. Nope. According to Daniel Lamptey, this is about a failure of leadership. The argument is that this entire tragic domino effect was set off by the weakness of just one man. Okay, so the story starts with a family in a tough spot, a real crisis. We've got Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons. And they're staring down a pretty severe famine right in their homeland. Now, where they live is super important. It's a place called Bethlehem. And you have to know this. In Hebrew, Bethlehem literally means house of bread. I mean, the irony is just staggering, right? They are living in the designated land of bread, the one place meant for God's provision, and yet they're starving. This right here is the moment everything changes. Elimelech is facing hardship in God's promised land, and he has a choice. He can either endure it and trust God, or he can escape, and he chose to run. He leads his family away from the land of bread to go looking for what he thinks are greener pastures in a foreign land called Moab. So where exactly did they run to? Well, according to this teaching, Moab wasn't just another country next door. Oh no, it was a spiritually toxic, really hostile environment, especially for people of faith. The speaker paints a pretty grim picture of Moab. It had a reputation, you know? It was known as a place that killed all the men, a land that was totally against anything righteous. And this is where Elimelech decided to lead his family straight into the heart of spiritual danger. So you have to ask, what made this land so bad? Why was it considered cursed? The teaching says that to really get a handle on Moab's whole deal, you've got to look at its origin story, which is, well, it's deeply disturbing. The whole nation of Moab, their entire lineage, goes all the way back to an act of incest. It was between Lot and his own daughters, right after Sodom was destroyed. And this wasn't just some dark secret in their past. It was the very foundation of their national identity. And according to this teaching, that foundational sin had a huge, lasting spiritual impact. The Bible actually says that because of this, the people of Moab were spiritually cut off. They were literally barred from entering the assembly of God. And this is the nation that Elimelech chose as his family's new home. Crazy, right? So the consequences of this one decision were, maybe not surprisingly, just devastating. Elimelech took his family out of the land of bread and into a cursed land, and they ended up paying the ultimate price for it. The land pretty much lived up to its deadly reputation. In this rapid, tragic sequence of events, all the men in the family died. First Elimelech, the guy who made the decision to go, and then both of his sons, Mahalan and Chilion, just gone. The end result was just stark and horrifying. The family's bloodline, the very thing they were probably trying to save, looked like it was completely wiped out. Naomi was left a widow, and so were her 2 Moabite daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth. Just 3 women, totally alone, with no hope in a foreign land. But this is where the teaching takes a wild turn. What if this massive tragedy wasn't just about punishment? What if it was actually part of a much bigger, more incredible divine plan? Daniel Lamptey basically asks us to just pause and reconsider everything we've just seen. Was the death of these 3 men just a sad ending? Or was it, in some strange, mysterious way, actually a necessary beginning? So he puts out this incredible theory of a divine sacrifice. The idea is that the deaths of these 3 men from the land of bread were like a spiritual payment, an atonement, a price that had to be paid to break the curse of Moab for one very specific person. So let's trace this out. The 3 men die. That's the spiritual price. That price then redeems one woman, Ruth, from her cursed homeland. She's then grafted in to the people of Israel. She marries a man named Boaz, and then, get this, she gives birth to a son who becomes the grandfather of King David. This means a woman from a cursed land is placed directly into the lineage of the Messiah. It's mind-blowing. So in this view, a family's terrible failure becomes the very key to a divine victory. Elimelech's weak decision, in the end, unknowingly, led to the very sacrifice needed to help fulfill God's bigger promise. And this brings us to the final, really powerful takeaway. Daniel Lamptey turns this ancient story into a personal challenge for us today. You know, just like Moab had a foundational history that defined it, we are all products of our own family's history. So, what's the root system of your family? And could it be that even the tragedies in your family's story might hold some hidden redemptive purpose that you just haven't seen yet? Definitely something to think about.